Welcome to the Loud Quiet. Ooh, empty nester. Okay. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think that actually probably is the theme of the empty nest. What are we doing? Let's do this. Let's do this thing. I don't know if I'm recording. Yeah. Okay.
Great. Sans children. Just us. We need a tissue box up here. Follow along on our journey and maybe, we can learn from others.
Yeah. I don't have a clue how to be empty nester.
This is the Loud Quiet Living the Empty Nest. All right, welcome back to episode 15 of The Loud Quiet. We're still here.
We're still here. Almost, one away from getting our driver's license, right? We turned 16 on the next episode.
Yeah. So, it's been, we started this in August. We're now in November, so.
And something that always comes to mind, because I get asked, why are y'all doing it? And we talked about that at the beginning. It is true. One of the reasons is something to connect you and me, right? And it is so true how that has been, just having these weekly conversations has been such a delight for us. And I'm glad that y'all are willing to listen to Clancy and me continue a conversation with each other and recording it, because that's been a lot of fun staying connected in the empty nest this way.
Yeah, I think, couples pick or need to. Okay, well, maybe not need to, but I would suggest couples going into the empty nest find something to do together.
Oh, yeah.
Our friends, Ward and Ashley, who were on, they are taking dance lessons and they're continuing that. We're doing this. There's still some other things, some activities that I would like to, we still haven't tried pickleball. I enjoyed
Are we the only people that
golf.
haven't tried it at this point?
I don't know. When your 70-plus-year-old father is playing pickleball with his 70-year-old plus friends.
Can we get in on that league?
No, because they play when they're retired.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yes. So like you said, it's been
good.
A set time for us every week to stop down and talk about whatever we want to talk about. So.
The beauty of a podcast. Yeah. It's our show. Well, what are we talking about this week?
So this week, yes, as we are going into the holiday season, we alluded to it a little bit last week in our episode that holidays are, especially this year, have really changed for us completely. Maybe not Christmas, but others. We'll start with Halloween, which this was the first year in Tanner's 21. So we did Halloween his first
Probably
year.
When he was 0 years.
So 21 years that I have not bought candy to either hand out or to have for a party or something. So,
which did make me a little sad.
Yeah, I know, but I did go and buy a bag after it was, on sale.
Right.
So when our neighbors were over one day, I just suggested, I said, you know what? Let's all just go out to dinner. And everyone said, oh yeah, let's do that. Because, this is our group that we used to sit out in front of our house and hand out candy, or everyone would come over here for the pre-party, and then we would walk around. So
carrying our bucket with the wagon in tow and all of that.
So
it is that group.
So we just decided we'll just go out to dinner, and it was so nice.
Perhaps the best time to go to dinner ever.
Yeah, Halloween evening. Yes,
and we went to a place that is one of our favorites. Salsa. It's a Tex-Mex restaurant, very casual. It's very family packed, and normally it's packed.
Yes, there's always a wait. It doesn't matter what day, time of day.
When the ice storm was over in Texas, everybody flooded Salsa, right? And that's where everybody went. And it's always a ton of kids. Clancy, how many kids were there on Halloween night?
0. And I said, if I see a kid in here, I'm going to be so disappointed in their parents that they're here instead of trick-or-treating. But yeah, there were 8 of us. We got together beforehand and had drinks and talk, and then we headed to the restaurant. And for 8 of us to get seated immediately with no wait at 6:30 on it was a Tuesday night. But like I said, it doesn't matter. But yeah, it was I think our server was so nice. I think they were probably a little like, oh, this is nice. It's all adults. It's
We don't have
not
to sweep up a bunch
packed.
of chips off the ground. And
It's everyone is, there's no crying. So yes, it was very, very nice and a tradition that I assume we will continue.
definitely. And there is this thread that goes through the whole empty nest world of you get to do things when the rest of the world doesn't do. We talked about travel before. Yeah. Well, I didn't expect that Halloween dining would be, and it was absolutely. Now, it wasn't like we went to a club or a restaurant that a bunch of 20-somethings would go to. This was a family-oriented restaurant, and that was the experience that we had. I'm sure in uptown Dallas it'd be a little bit different going to dinner. This was fantastic.
Yes, when you live in a suburb, yeah. The only people that are at restaurants are people who don't have kids on Halloween night. So
it's related. My dad would always tell a story that he always took call on Christmas Day. My dad was an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and he always took call on that day. And people are like, why on earth would you take call on Christmas? He goes, most of the ENT patients, especially those that have a critical issue, are kids. A kid is going to have to be near the end of their existence to admit that they are hurting on Christmas. And so choosing to do things at a time when kids are not a part of it was an absolute genius then. And doing that in Halloween was perfect.
It was
for
great.
us.
It wasn't because we frequent that restaurant. We could hear each other. It was not, it was a very pleasant way to spend Halloween. I believe, according to our Ring camera, we didn't have our lights on, but before it was even dark out, we had one twosome that came up to our door, but we were already gone. And so, but otherwise, our street doesn't get a lot of action anymore anyways, because they're all old. And we're kind of an offshoot in our neighborhood, so
I think that's important too. It's not like we're a couple of curmudgeons that just hate kids. I bet you if we were in a neighborhood that had a specific part of our neighborhood that had a steady flow of kids, this idea wouldn't have come up.
Sure.
But it's one of those, I don't want to stay home for 2 doorbell rings.
Yeah.
Let's go out, and what a great experience it
was. Yeah, well, and now you're getting to where you're spending $50 to $100 on candy to do some of these. Depending on how many kids you have.
Yeah.
And so, it was nice to spend that money on dinner instead of candy.
Let's see. Enchiladas, tacos, and queso versus Kit Kat. Yeah, I'll take that trade-off.
That was a nice entrance into our holidays without children, because even as a senior last year, Teagan's friends still came over. They had a little party, and then they went out trick-or-treating, and I have no problem with the older kids trick-or-treating as long as they're in costume.
There you go.
Yes,
that is the
as
requirement.
long as they're in costume, I have no issue with it. Go get your candy. Go act like you're
8 years old and enjoy it.
Yeah, enjoy yourself. So
that's that one.
That was fun.
So the next big holiday is one that's my favorite. It has consistently been my favorite, and you would think that kids would always position towards the one in December, and I'm sure when I was a kid, of course, but as an older teenager and beyond, Thanksgiving was always so important to me. I loved the food, especially the pies, but give me a little turkey, give me a little dressing, give me some rolls, all that. I absolutely loved Thanksgiving. It was a very family time. It was a time to get together. We had established our rotation long ago that we were in sync with Austin on 1 year, then up here another year. It was a very traditional approach to Thanksgiving. Well, we're going to do it a little differently this year.
Yeah, and it's funny because you love Thanksgiving food.
Oh yeah, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, you love the Thanksgiving, and I'm going to find that picture because it's so true. As soon as Halloween was done in the stores, Christmas is up. And Christmas commercials are on. Christmas music is already playing. What about Thanksgiving? I know that there's no Thanksgiving music but there is decor, but it's like everyone just skips right over Thanksgiving. And I don't know if that's just because
it's the money.
Sure.
For those that are listening, not watching, it is the money sign.
So But I love one of someone I'm friends with on Facebook. They put out in their front yard, and it's a turkey with its foot on Santa's neck, and it's like, not your time, fat boy. I'm gonna find that picture and I'll help you put it up. But that cracked me up because yes, it is the thing I do enjoy about Thanksgiving is that it's low key. The food preparation is
It's a lot of work.
a lot of work, but luckily when we're in Austin, we don't do any of it. But when I'm here or when we're here, we all kind of contribute with my family. And so, but I do enjoy Thanksgiving. It's about watching the Cowboys game. It's about just, yeah, low
Chilling.
key.
Overeating and
Yeah.
and wishing you were wearing sweatpants and
Yeah.
just relaxing.
The only activity for Thanksgiving is eating
Yeah.
and watching football because there's not opening presents. There's not, so.
We talk about TV as your love language. I think we may have just hit mine.
So yes, so
Eating.
we are doing things a little differently this year because now we have two that don't get out of class until Wednesday. And we've this will be Tanner's 4th year of doing this, and he has typically flown back home, or like last year he flew into Austin on Wednesday. We've always had to be back, make sure we were back in Dallas because of the potential of Teagan's high school having a football game, and she had to dance at, which we did almost every year. I think last year was maybe the
You're
first
right.
year.
If it wasn't every, it was
Yeah.
very close to.
So we have always had to pinch Thanksgiving in there with other things. So, a lot of colleges get the entire week off, but our kids don't. So this year we've decided
It's going to be
we're going to go out there.
Yeah, let's go.
So,
Let's go to Arizona. Let's do that. And I remember the struggles when I was a kid in college. We got out on Wednesday, and you try to game the flights and all that kind of. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So yes, we realized, heck, you and I, it's a lot easier for us to go out there. And this was the Plano rotation for Thanksgiving. So we suggested to your parents, hey, do y'all want to just do Thanksgiving out there? Guess what? The parents are coming along too. So we're actually just moving that a portion there. Some of the family will not be making it out there, and we'll miss them. We get the chance to have Thanksgiving in Arizona, and that's
Yeah.
going to be completely different. And yet, I started this by saying how Thanksgiving is the one I love. It's so traditional. Everything about it is almost rhythmic, almost scarily rhythmic, right? I'm so excited about this year.
I am too. I'm looking forward to them not having to be stressed out about getting back and forth in such a quick time, and we can just go and enjoy. The weather's going to be beautiful. It is different. We are catering Thanksgiving dinner in, which will be different, and people need to set their expectations that the food may not be like it is, when we normally do it. But
And one thing that you're already correcting me on is I keep saying, yeah, so we can go pick up some pies. Pie.
yeah,
No, pies. Pie.
no, well, because it comes with one, but one that you don't
doesn't
enjoy,
count.
so we have to go find a pecan pie. But no, and I said, oh my gosh, we're gonna be those people at the grocery store on Wednesday night shopping. We're not, our Thanksgiving meal is coming from a restaurant, but we got to get other stuff we ended up
be out there
getting an
all-
Airbnb, and so we need to get snacks and breakfast stuff. But I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be those people that I'm like, why would anyone wait until the night before Thanksgiving to go to the store?
It's
And-
karma. It's because of my high school job where I worked in the grocery store, and I had that exact same thought at Simon David
Yeah.
in Northwest Hills in Austin, that I'm wondering who on earth is here, to the point that they would run out of shopping
Yeah, you
carts
can't find a
every
cart.
year.
Yeah.
People would have to wait in line to get a shopping
I
cart.
know.
And I remember being a checker there, looking at the lines and seeing the lines 6, 10, 15 people
Yeah.
deep, wondering how can anybody even shop as the lines are stuck all the way back there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's my fault, because as I would gripe about those people, now we've become them.
Well, we're even talking about, okay, so when we get to, because we're flying into Tucson first so we can get Teagan and then drive to Phoenix, Tempe. And I was like, you suggested, well, maybe we can get some of the stuff in Tucson before we get to, because so far none of her classes have been canceled. So she's going to be in class until 2:00 on, because, oh my gosh, this cracked me up when she asked, so what time does the holiday start on? And I said, well, what do you mean? She said, well, like, what time do we get out at noon that day? I said, this is not high school.
There's no early release in college.
No. I said, unless your professor cancels your class, you're in class until, and she said, oh, I didn't know if it started. I was like, it just cracks me. And I mean,
and she's a freshman.
No.
She'll never ask that question again.
Yeah. And I'm still seeing parents on the parent pages. They don't get out all week. I'm like, how have you not known this? Because we booked our flights way long time ago, right. And, had to secure,
lodging and everything else,
so,
and a car. And
I mean, I had 2 reservations at different restaurants before we decided to switch to a house. And so now we can just all eat there and everything. And so yeah, it's going to be different, but it's going to be good. And I'm glad, my parents are coming out, and, the other thing that we're going to be doing. Yeah.
This is going to be fun, is the Friendsgiving with Tanner's friends.
Oh, well, I was thinking of the game, but yes,
oh.
That's before the game. So no, I was thinking more of the game.
You were.
Yeah. It's the ASU U of A rivalry game.
So what did I just say to you earlier? I said that food is my love language, and so it's the pregame that I was thinking of, and all of that.
Yeah.
It is that rivalry game is going to be so much fun. And this year, because I would say historically, yes, I know that there's been surprises, but I'd say historically ASU probably had the upper hand in the football world there. It's going to be pretty competitive this year.
Oh, it's going to be. I think it's going to be way one-sided because Teagan's team is now ranked.
Oh, their team is great. It's a rivalry game, and it's at Arizona State. I think that this could actually be a pretty good game. It's not something that the nation is going to pay attention to, but it's going to be fun. There will be your parents, and you and I will be in our house divided shirts. Mm-hmm. Teagan and Tanner obviously representing their schools.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, and Tanner has never gotten to go because he's always been home or with us, for Thanksgiving. So he's excited his senior year, getting to go. And again, we wouldn't be doing any of this if she wasn't out there in school too.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Think if she were in school in North Carolina or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's in Arizona. This is such a treat for us.
It would have been really, I guess everybody would have just come here and we would have just worked it out. Yeah, it's just So no, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's just going to be a fun. We love going to Arizona anytime. So
well, that's why. So and as much as I enjoy the family things, a lot of times the weather can be sketchy, but sometimes it can be gorgeous here too. And what do? You said you watch the football, that kind of stuff, and then maybe the day after you're either messing around if it's Austin or you go. Well, we get all of the glory that is that Phoenix. Oh, do we want to go hiking? Do we want to? You found some old West town that we're going to go head out to on Friday. That'll definitely. I imagine there'll be some stories that we can tell when we get back about that. I don't know if
maybe we'll do a live. Maybe we'll try to do some lives while we're. Maybe it'll be a family edition of
I gotta go get some microphones.
Loud, quiet. No, I think we can probably share. But, and again, it just shows the difference between, because I mentioned it to you and I said, so, I think we may go do this little kitschy, ghost town or what. And she was like, oh, that sounds fun. It's just so, she just wants to spend time with us and Tanner and my parents. And so, it's just, she's down for most anything now that she's away from
the buffer has been set. And
now that she's out of the Frisco bubble, she's down to do a lot of things. So,
and that is going to be a lot of fun to be doing that, and it's going to be different. And I'm still going to. I will be very excited to go back and do an Austin rotation and do the things and do a Thanksgiving here with all of our North Texas family and enjoy that all together. I'm looking forward to this. This
Yeah.
is going to be a
I think
treat.
it's going to be fun. Yeah. And who knows what, next year will be like. But yeah, I think that'll be a good, and Thanksgiving is early enough this year that, I can get back and have the house decorated before they get home
Right.
for Christmas. And so it is nice that it is a little bit earlier, but I mean, it's crazy. Tanner, when we leave, he has no more classes, like finals. Their last day of class is November 26th and finals start. And I don't even know, he probably just has his Monday class that week because he doesn't have classes on Tuesday and Thursday. And so, yeah. And then Teagan said, yeah, she has 1 week of classes and then it's the quiet days and then her finals start. So, yeah, that's one thing she did mention. She's really looking forward to Thanksgiving because then it means that her semester is just about done. So
they get kind of this respite before the end pressure and what that is. And that's the next holiday. And this one, while Thanksgiving is going to be so different, and actually I know he's not on camera, but he's at our feet here, Miso. I was thinking about that part of Thanksgiving that is one thing that the kids and Teagan in specific won't get that home blast, that quick home blast. And I know this little dude down here is someone that she is missing deeply. I don't know what's going on in his cat brain. I think that he is going to be happy to see her once he adjusts.
I think yes, it will be very interesting to see what happens when I pick her up from the airport on the 12th and she comes home and
he'll sprint upstairs because it's somebody walking in the house and then all that. She had, so Christmas is going to be a little more traditional. Now, we kind of pre-empty nested it with last year.
Except they were with us.
That's what I'm saying. So we got ahead of ourselves in breaking tradition last year where we as a family went to Japan. And there was motivation for that with Tanner studying abroad last year. That was a fantastic experience. I know you've commented, man, you would do that every time. Maybe not Japan each time, although I would do Japan. But it was fantastic to do Christmas away.
I enjoyed traveling during Christmas. There were things that I missed, but we also pre-planned and did our Christmas with family here before, but it was so nice to not even have to think about anything. I mean, nothing. It was just so nice to, because your present was a trip to Japan. So, it was really, I really enjoyed it. And seeing, they had everything decorated over there. It wasn't like we went to some place that
was anti-Christmas, right? It was just, it definitely was. I can't remember what day of the week it was. Maybe it was a Wednesday or something, or Monday, whatever it was, right? It definitely was just Monday when we were there. It was decorated because there would be, but it wasn't decorations on all the buildings or anything like that.
I think we got there on Christmas Eve.
We arrived Christmas Eve. Went to
we went to that
market.
that was so neat. That
the lights were all decorated.
Christmas. I should have pulled some of the,
maybe we'll yank a few of those
some
on
of those
here.
pictures,
Christmas we ate at the restaurant there.
I thought we ate it.
Oh, no, we went to Din Tai Fung.
Fung.
That's right. And all of that. So we did find a way to incorporate a little bit of our Western Christmas and celebrations into that, the relaxation part of it. I know families that have done that. We go to Cabo every Thanksgiving. We go to this place every Christmas. I see why.
Yeah.
There was a particular request, though, that this year not be that way.
Yes. Teagan has already asked, please, can we not do a big trip over Christmas? Because this will be her first time home since she left in August. And, we totally know. I wasn't even planning nothing. We are going to be here this Christmas. We're doing it the way we've always done it since the kids. We used to try to do both families, and it just got to be. I mean, we used to take their Santa gifts to Austin when it was an Austin rotation. It just got to be too much. We finally were like, we want to wake up in our own house Christmas morning, and then we'll come to Austin when it's the Austin rotation.
And we do so we'll do that this year. We're going to do that, but we have our traditions. We grill our tenderloin. We enjoy that. We've got all the meals. And it's varying degrees of which items people like or love or that kind of stuff, but it's become kind of our thing, and we host it
Yeah.
over at our house. And just being able to be still in the house with the family is going to be nice as
And
well.
we, you urged your family to adopt my family's Christmas Eve tradition, which
Yep.
is Mexican food. And they've kind of incorporated it. It's not full, but and I
But
know,
it's good enough.
yeah, but
I love the.
but that's one thing that I know our kids have grown to
Oh, yeah.
enjoy. They love the Christmas Eve. We enjoy getting together with my parents and my brother and sister-in-law and nephew, and then Chad and Noom won't be here this year because
Right.
they're staying in Germany, so that'll
Yeah.
be different. But it's nice when they get to come as well. So
I am looking forward to those tamales. That is,
yes, they have
give me those
tamales.
Christmas tamales.
Yeah, which I gotta see. If
No,
that
don't start
lady's
planning
making-
here
No,
on the
I
show.
know,
Okay,
yeah.
so we got to order those.
So it'll be a more now. One thing that is different this year is that Tanner is literally coming home for probably 2 weeks.
It's like it's a high school
Yeah,
Christmas break for
it's-
him. He's
yeah.
waiting for somebody's graduation. He's not going to come back until that person graduates, which totally
Yeah,
support
one
that.
of their really good friends is graduating, so they're all
Of course,
want
stay
to
for that.
be at her graduation, and then and then he wants to go back before New Year's Eve, which. Duh, I get you want to be with your college friends for New Year's Eve, but this is the first time that he's done that. And so when he called me yesterday and said, "Hey, I need to change my flight to make it a little later coming home because I forgot about graduation," and it's like, "So you're really going to be here for 2?" He's like, "Mom, it's 2 weeks." I was like, "Okay." So
You know what that's
So,
doing,
yeah,
though?
it's gonna
It's
be-
starting
I
to get
know.
us. Each step of this empty nester is one more step towards those future stages where,
And
just
yes.
we are seeing. I'm going to Austin for a period of 48 hours. Right? That's
yeah, and I get that they're going to have be adults. They're going to have their families. They can't come home for a month, but I like to make the holidays enjoyable for them so that hopefully they will continue to want to be, and again, and
you're sweetening the
like,
pot so that they come.
like we've said, let's all go to
There it is.
wherever for, Christmas. Let's all meet, so
That's what I'd love to see. And I guarantee that they're going to, well, I shouldn't say guarantee. I would imagine they'll be in a similar situation that, no, we want our kids to wake up in our home and that kind of stuff. Great. On the 26th, let's all get on a plane and we're going to go to wherever
yeah.
and enjoy that.
Of course, none of that is in the near future. So, yeah, no. So,
It is. So that's going to be our Christmas. There is something that's kind of funny about how the world is different, though, when it comes to end of school and that it's finals period and all of that. Well, one of the things that you shared with me was it's going to be a little different when it comes to finals taking. And I think this was a text that did I get it? Did you get it?
both of us. She
Yeah,
sent it to both of us.
So Teagan had sent us a text because we'd planned her trip to be a certain time home. She wanted to come home at a certain time. We'd figured that out. So we had it booked. Well, then she sends this text.
Yeah, she said, journalism just ruined everything on the doc. It said the final was on the 7th. Now he sent out an email saying that it's on the 12th at 10:30, aka when I'd be at the airport. Then before we could even respond, she said, "Oh, never mind, ignore me. It's open until midnight. I can take it when I get home." Okay. Yeah, this was not even an option because I even texted her back and I said, or you said, "Well, things are certainly different." I said, "Yeah, I couldn't mail my Scantron back into the professor
told her.
saying, 'Oh, sorry, I had my flight booked.'" So
And then she can just sit there. I'll take my final at the airport.
Well,
I said, I worked with rocks and sticks when
yeah,
I was in school.
well, and that's what because you said, "Ooh, are you sure you don't? What if your flight gets
Flight
delayed?"
disruption.
And that's what I said. Well, you can take it in the airport. She said, "Oh yeah, I'll just take it in the airport." And she's not alone. There's going to be. Tanner took a class from when we were in Mexico. He was sitting out by the pool on the Zoom
That's right. I forgot
in
about
his
it.
summer session class that he had signed up for that we didn't even know he'd signed up for, and people were like, "Where are you?"
Yeah.
Like,
And he left the
in
camera
Mexico.
on. He's got his drink for class.
Yeah.
Oh man. So it is a different world. But what a great. There's a whole other conversation about the blending of in this case school, but work and life and all that. But this is one of those great flexibility options that she can take this test wherever the heck she wants to take this test.
And I also appreciate that these professors are. I get there are certain things that, yes, you need to be able to recall. You need to be able, but now, most of her classes and tests have been open note.
Yeah.
In your dorm room.
Like the way life is.
We have Google now.
Yeah.
So if I have a question, what do I do?
Yeah.
So
yes, it's important to understand concepts
Yeah.
and know how to process things. You can't just be a dummy,
Right.
And only relying on that kind of information. Boy, we could totally go down a rabbit hole with this.
We
But
could
you're
talk
right.
about that. It's another.
It reflects. I love that change that it's actually reflecting what real life is like.
Yeah.
And real life doesn't require that you have it memorized. Real life requires that you know how to access the information you need to move forward with whatever you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
So
we need to end here.
We will. That would be though that would be a good topic that we could talk about. Maybe that one we do when the kids are home for Christmas and they can be a part of it
maybe so.
too.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
So
I do want to. I know we're about to close out. I do want to encourage. So if you're listening, if you're watching, have you traveled for a holiday, and what was that like? We really would love for other stories to be told on here. We've got guests that have come on and told stories, but if you got a story to share, would love to hear your story and would love to retell your story here on a future episode of The Loud Quiet because it would be fun.
Did y'all travel?
No.
See, I mean,
wait, I'm sorry, Quitman. We always went to Quitman
yes.
for Thanksgiving, but I don't even count East Texas as a travel.
like for Christmas, y'all were always home. Yeah.
100%. Because our extended family, in the case of my mom, her family was pretty much exclusively grandma who just came down from the Fort Worth, Euless area. So there was I didn't even have the concept of rotation until I met you. We dated, got married, and realized, wait, there's another family that needs to be involved here. How do we make that work? Whole different thing of how to make that work. And we did.
And we were the ones that lived away from everyone, so we would go to Arkansas.
Oh, you
No. Yes, my family. Growing up, we would go to Arkansas every holiday, every Christmas. And I mean, there were times that I still remember we were trying to get out of Hot Springs, and there's this big hill, and you started up it and you just slide back down. I mean, so it was. I mean, there were times that my mom would drive us from Lubbock to Arkansas by herself because my dad was still, working in the store. And so, it was, our parents did a lot more of, or my parents, getting to where their family was until a certain point. Then I think they probably came to the realization that, no, this is not fun for anybody. And so, but so.
Holidays.
I'm glad that we're a little flexible, that we can do some different things, and that our families have accepted the flexibility. That's one thing. We never got any kind of backlash attitudes when we came with the plan of, we just can't do this anymore.
And a lot of that, this goes beyond sort of empty nest, more just, young marrieds. It is the confidence in making the declaration that this is what we're doing, as opposed to this is what we're doing and why, and we're sorry and all that. No, this is what we're doing. We love you.
Yeah.
So. All right. I'm excited now to experience all the things that we're talking about.
So, I mean, this one will air and then we'll be going. So we probably will not have an episode Thanksgiving week.
Right. We'll take it the week.
But we might do some recording out there and have something for the next week. So, So, all right. It's been another episode of The Loud Quiet. Living the Empty Nest.